He was texting you every morning, checking in during the day, sending late-night messages that made you feel chosen, wanted, secure, and then suddenly, silence. No good morning. No explanation. No argument even. Just distance where warmth used to be. Your mind starts searching for answers. Did I say something wrong? Did he lose interest? Is there someone else? But before you let anxiety write a story that may not be true, you need to understand something deeper about male psychology. Silence, for many men, is not abandonment. It is regulation. When emotional stimulation becomes intense, whether positive or stressful, many men instinctively pull back to regain internal balance. Texting constantly creates connection, but it also creates expectation. Expectation can feel like pressure, and pressure activates defense mechanisms. This does not automatically mean he stopped caring. It may mean his nervous system shifted into self-protection mode. Modern dating amplifies this pattern. Constant digital communication accelerates intimacy. You go from strangers to emotionally connected within days. But emotional acceleration can overwhelm someone who processes connection more slowly. Men are often socialized to value autonomy, independence, control. When texting becomes frequent and emotionally layered, some men subconsciously experience it as loss of space, so they step back. Not always to leave, but to breathe. There is a neurological layer to this. When attraction is high, dopamine surges. Excitement feels intoxicating, but dopamine spikes are not sustainable long-term. When the brain recalibrates, communication may temporarily decrease. What feels like emotional loss to you may simply be chemical normalization to him. Attachment theory explains this even more clearly. If he leans avoidant, intense texting may initially feel thrilling. But once emotional closeness deepens, fear of dependency may activate. Avoidant tendencies interpret deep connection as potential loss of freedom. So silence becomes distance. Distance restores perceived control. Meanwhile, if you lean anxious in attachment style, his silence triggers abandonment fear. You want more contact to feel safe. He wants less contact to feel safe. And without awareness, this becomes a push-pull cycle. The more you reach, the more he retreats. The more he retreats, the more urgent your reaching becomes, until both of you feel misunderstood. But here is the shift. Silence does not always require pursuit. Sometimes it requires grounded stillness. Consider Marcus. 31. Ambitious. Emotionally invested but overwhelmed with work deadlines. He texted constantly during the honeymoon phase. But when career pressure intensified, communication dropped. His partner assumed emotional withdrawal. In reality, Marcus felt mentally overloaded. He reduced texting, not because love faded, but because cognitive stress limited his emotional bandwidth. Stress narrows focus. Under pressure, many men shift into problem-solving mode. Bonding temporarily becomes secondary. That is not cruelty. It is prioritization under stress. However, healthy silence has limits. If he disappears without explanation for extended periods, if accountability is absent, if communication resumes only when convenient, that may signal emotional immaturity. There is a difference between recalibration and avoidance. Recalibration includes eventual return. Avoidance includes indefinite distance. Your power lies in observation, not reaction. Instead of sending multiple follow-up texts, pause. Regulate your own nervous system. Ask yourself, is this silence a pattern or a moment? Is he stressed or disengaged? Confidence changes the dynamic. When you respond with calm rather than panic, you break the anxious avoidant loop. You show emotional security, and emotional security is stabilizing. Ironically, the less you chase, the safer he feels returning. But this is not manipulation. It is emotional maturity. Real attraction thrives in space balanced with connection. Constant availability can reduce perceived polarity. Healthy independence sustains intrigue. So instead of waiting anxiously by your phone, invest in your life. Strengthen friendships. Pursue goals. Build routines that exist beyond his responses. Because your emotional stability is your leverage. And here is the deeper truth. If someone truly wants to communicate, they will. Effort reveals intention. Silence becomes information. Not always rejection, but always data. The goal is not to decode every delay. The goal is to evaluate consistency over time. Healthy relationships include rhythm, not constant intensity. Connection. Pause. Return. That rhythm creates sustainability. So when he stops texting suddenly, breathe before reacting. Observe before assuming. And remember, silence can mean stress, fear, overwhelm, or loss of interest. But only patterns reveal which one, and your self-worth must never depend on the speed of a reply. Because real emotional security is built from within, not from notification sounds.